Something happened to me recently that made me feel very bad for a very long time. I felt I could have acted better and taken better steps in handling the situation. I blamed myself for being very foolish, for not seeing the pointers in the circumstance, and because of that, I felt very bad. Unknowingly to me, the situation I put myself may put me in a state where I couldn't see hope of changing the situation. And this brings us to the topic of today, self-forgiveness. That can be related to many events in our lives. When people talk about experience, we talk about things that have happened in the past. And these things are usually a build-up of our foolishness, our smartness, our being wise, our being courageous, our being outspoken, our being careful, our being careless, our being carefree. Everything sum up our experience. If you haven't shown any attributes that shows a weakness in you, then it means you have not really grown. Not every time are we going to take decisions that will be smart or wise. Sometimes you take decisions that will be so bad that you wonder where your sense of reasoning was when you were taking them, especially when you act on those decisions. You will now wallow in beating up yourself so much that you cannot see beyond what is on ground. Either will you see or hope that the situation can be better. There have been cases where we do this so bad that it affects our mental health, and if not quickly attended to, it fast-track depression in us. According to Bennett, a lack of self-forgiveness can hold you back from living your best life. Self-forgiveness is necessary, is healthy and necessary to living your best life in moving forward. When you do not forgive yourself, the guilt you are feeling will imply that you're a good person that did something bad, and then you beat yourself for it. Why shame will make you see yourself as a bad person? This can bring feeling of worthlessness, and if left unresolved, can bring up other feelings like depression, agitation, and even aggression. No matter what must have happened, not taking it too hard on yourself and hoping that things will get better will put you in the right frame of mind to act in a more reasonable way. Again, you will have better mental and emotional well-being, more positive vibe, and even healthier relationships. Now let's discuss steps you can take to forgive yourself. The first one is to focus on your emotions. Sometimes, because of what has happened, you'll be filled with so much emotions because you are there, you are blaming yourself, you're asking yourself why you had to do that you will not even concentrate on the steps you have taken in resolving that matter. Something must have happened, and then you sit down, you are wondering, oh, how did I get to this stage? But before blaming yourself, you had taken steps to make things better. So how about you considering and tapping yourself in the back? Yes, I know I did wrong, but I've also taken steps to make it right. So sometimes when you now sit down and wallow in that thought of how did I get to this stage, you feel you will not even be able to look beyond that situation and know that something better will come. Number 2 is to acknowledge the mistake loud. When you say it to yourself, oh, why did I do this? It's like talking to yourself. Like I say, Zainab, why were you being so unreasonable? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? You should have been more intelligent, you should have been more mature than that. Blaming yourself out loud at that moment will help resolve the issue, and it ends there. Not that you allow it to linger and you keep saying it to yourself, then you'll be hurting yourself. But when you just say it loud, blame yourself at the moment, and at the same time tell yourself that it's not going to happen again. It's one of those things. You find yourself moving on. It's like you are beating yourself, and at the same time you have tapped yourself on the back and putting more positive vibes to know that it's not all about what has happened. It's also about how you attend to the matter that happened. The third one I want to discuss is you think of each mistake as a learning experience. When people talk about experience, it's not something you build in one day. It's an accumulation of so many things, and each step that we took in the wrong direction also adds to that experience. So when you've done something wrong, and instead of beating yourself about it, take the right step, especially when you have realized that the step was wrong. Take a step to better the situation, and then you add it to your bag of experience, because tomorrow you will know better and you will not repeat that same thing that has happened. The fourth step is to have a conversation with yourself. You can sit down and say, how did I get here? You sit down and have a very detailed conversation with yourself know exactly where you took the wrong step, what you should have done, and then what you can do better next time. Have a very detailed conversation with yourself and be honest with yourself, because no other person is there. There's no third party. It's just you and you alone. So you can discuss with yourself whatever you are feeling. You're going to be plain and honest with yourself, because no other person is there. So just have that conversation and then take plan on next step, and then you work on those plans. The fifth one is notice when you are being too critical. Like we said, you have blamed yourself, you have ruled it out that you were wrong, you have taken steps on how to do better, but don't go being too critical on yourself and beating yourself. You were bad, you were wrong, you are too evil, you are too that, no. That's not going to help you in forgiving yourself. If you really want to forgive yourself, you have to work on that matter. Blame where you are supposed to lay blames, be critical where you are supposed to be critical, and then let it go. You're just being human. Being a human being means you are liable to fault. Perfection is for God. So when people tells you, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that, you could have been reasonable, have been everything, have been smart, you would have still made that same mistake. So you being knowing so many things, being better experienced, doesn't mean that you can never make mistake. It can never be ruled out that you will not make mistake. Making a mistake is what makes you a human being. To the next point. Quiet the negative message. Quiet the negative message of your inner critic. Those are those voices that come to you even when you're trying to work on yourself. Those voices that hold you back, that tells you, do you remember what you did the last time? Do you remember how you attended to this matter? Do you remember how you messed it up this last time? You can't do it better this time. You are all just going to mess it up just like you messed it up the last time. So always be able to notice when this voice is saying these things to you, and then you can push or silence that voice and then go ahead and act. I tell you, because you have learned from the experience of what happened in the past, you are bound not to repeat that same mistake again. So this brings us to the next topic. This brings us to the next point. Get clear what you want. In this, you have to know exactly what you want to do, how you are going to do it, so that the same mistake does not happen again. This time around, you're going to be very careful, you're going to be better detailed, you're going to be very clear about what you're doing. And in this, you'll find out that you will not make the same mistake that made you to guilt trip yourself. So, and this takes us to the next point. Take your own advice. With all this, you have spoken to yourself because you did something wrong, and you have told yourself that this is not going to happen again. Don't just say it. Don't just advise yourself. Work on that advice. Don't just do the talk. Walk the talk. Do the talk. Let people see it, or you prove it to yourself that you've learned something from the past mistake and you're not allowing it to happen again. So talk to yourself and follow your advice that this next time I'm going to be better, I'm going to be a better person, I'm going to be coming early, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do that. Follow the advice you have given to yourself. Don't go back on your past ways, just keep moving on, because that's what the whole thing is about. And then to the last point I want to bring up, show kindness and compassion to yourself. Like I said earlier, you're a human being. We're all human beings, liable to fault. Nobody is a perfectionist. Perfection is for God. No matter how reasonable somebody is, no matter how sensible somebody is, no matter how smart somebody is, the person will still make mistakes. That is what makes us human beings. That's one of the factors that differentiates us from God, because we are liable to fault. We are not master of know-it-all. Nobody is that. No matter what you know, there are times you find that you do something and you later go back and you ask yourself, why did I do it? Where were my senses when I was doing it? And then you find out that sometimes some of this mistake might be for life. There might be things that we cannot change, but even then you can't beat yourself over it. It's the human being in you that committed that. If given the opportunity, you wouldn't have allowed that to happen, but because you're a human being liable to fault, you always make mistakes. So understanding that and forgiving yourself will go a long way for you to see that this thing that's happened is not going to repeat itself. I'm not going to allow it to repeat itself. I've learned from my lesson and I'm a better person, and I'm going to take better steps next time. So this is what I want to leave us with for the week. I hope you hear. For those that are new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell of notification to be notified whenever there is a new video from us. And for those that have been with me from the inception, thank you so very much. I hope you keep hanging there as I bring more topics for us every Friday. Thank you so very much, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. Have a nice weekend. Bye.